So leaning back a little bit on the hands and just create some movement in the legs. So I'm just lightly bouncing the knees and just listen to the body, uh, waving the ankles, bouncing around, maybe paddling a little bit. We were talking about the ball of the foot and that use of really the lower leg, right? We're connecting up from the toes up around the knees here. And then let's get some circles from the ankles. So it's more comfortable to lift the knees, comes out naturally. We'll have these circles in both directions. And just move the feet around a little bit, just so we're working the muscles just a little differently every so many rotations. Let's relax the work in the ankles. We'll let them work lightly, but now see if you can move from the thigh muscles. It's a very simple movement, kind of opening, closing. And then we're just kind of pivoting naturally on the heel, and the ankle's doing just the minimum to help stabilize the leg. And maybe draw the knees a little bit higher. Just play a bit with where the feet need to be. We'll slow down and let's push out through the heels and bring the legs closer and draw in. We won't make our biggest circle here. It's a smaller circle. And instead, let's give some attention to the weight on the sit bones. So we can get an equal weight left and right. And then see if we can move toward the front of the sit bones. And that'll probably make our circle even smaller. Explore being on the fingertips so we're not leaning back and we've got a sense of being vertical. So now we're getting the core engaged. Okay, let's ease off and open the legs wide again and just relaxing the ankles, lightly bouncing the knees. Okay, just gently waving and explore the legs a little wider, not to where it's difficult, but a bit wider. And we'll circle one leg at a time. So I'm going to sweep a leg across and then pull that heel in toward the center and then push out. And when the leg goes out long, let's stop for a moment. And we're going to change legs when we're ready. So we'll slide across and then in toward the center and back out. And when we're long, pausing there when you're ready. And again, we'll just play with the ankles a little bit. We'll do those circles again, but in the opposite direction. So we'll lift the knee, drag the heel to the center, push down that opposite leg and swing wide. So to get this big circle, we do have to have some weight back on the hands. So we'll take that leg wide. We'll just pause for a moment. Just play a bit down the legs, into the ankles, into the feet. Just kind of pointing with the toes, pressing with the heels. And then here, we even wiggle the toes, wake up those little muscles. And we'll switch legs. So we'll pull into the center, down the straight leg. Last time, legs out long. Just again, gently shaking the knees, play a bit with the ankles, and let's explore the toes, right? We're in the northern hemisphere. They end up often in big shoes that don't give them a lot of freedom of movement. So we can just get the toes to play and then point out through the toes, push out in the heels and drag the feet in, pushing out with the heels. And now we'll just do a couple, the feet moving together, making a circle. And then coming neutral, we'll bring the knees up, come to where the feet are flat, walk them quite close and ease them, not all the way. We'll start small. We're just allowing the legs to slide against each other. Not too far, letting the back warm up. So when the legs come up, let's pause. And then just walking the feet out wider. And just find the place. Again, we're not going to force the legs anywhere. We want to be prepared to adjust the placement of our feet. Okay, now next time the knees come up, just pausing again. We've got them wide. We still have weight back on our hands. And then just move one knee across. Not rushing here, move the other. And then as the knee crosses towards center, you want to activate that ankle, have this foot engaged. It can release when the leg is still. Okay, we'll do that once more. And then once both knees are out, push out, we'll sit ourselves back up, get the legs a shake, and then just find a comfy distance, right? Find that right place for the legs. When it feels good, we're going to leave one hand back just by the hip, and the inhale brings the other arm up. Now, equal weight in the sit bones here, energy in the thighs. Reach up, create some length. When it's time for an exhale, reach across and out, and we'll just let the hand rest. We'll finish breathing out by looking at the knee. Now, big inhale brings the arm up. We come neutral, takes the hand to the ground, and the other arm comes up. And then the exhale takes us to the other leg. So see if we can switch the arms on the inhale, and the exhale gives us the other side. So as we start to warm up the core, we may be able to just use fingertips, the hands touching, so we don't need to put as much weight behind us. And when we're tall, both sit bones, feel them both. So let's do our last pair. So when we're finished, just come tall for a moment, just to feel upright, engaged in the belly, and then lift the knees and drag the heels so thighs are parallel. We'll slide the hands under the thighs and just release the legs forward. So adding weight onto the forearms and relaxing arms and shoulders, releasing in the low back. And then bringing the knees up so we can get the hands out. And let's cross the legs. So we'll want to place the feet, the heels, ankles out toward the knees. And we're going to rest the weight of the hands on the knees and relax the arms. So we've got equal weight on the sit bones. We'll create a small tuck at the tailbone with some energy in the belly. We'll feel vertical. Want to feel the chest above the hips. And then reaching up along the neck. Want to feel into having the ears lined up with the shoulders. Let's have an in-breath. We'll take that inhale through the nose, across the roof of the mouth. And on the exhale, release the belly. Now, when the inhale comes, let the belly fill like you're blowing up a balloon. And soften, lengthen the exhale, ease the belly inward with the breath. As we breathe down into the core, see if you can release the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the weight of the arms, and taking length through the center, along the spine. Now we'll create a circle. So the whole upper body circling above the hips. Start a small, slow circle. And just being aware of the weight shifting on the sit bones. We're going to switch the direction of our circle. And we'll take a few more circles going back and forth as we're ready to. And then let's make these circles smaller. And when they get very small, see if you can get the belly, the core muscles in the hips to start to circle. And it's a feeling of churning the belly round. So rather than trying to move the whole torso now, we're locating down in the belly, getting both directions. And that effort will just move the spine however. And let's ease to neutral and refresh our length. And we're going to create another circle at the diaphragm. So keeping the arms and shoulders, shoulder blades released, circling at the lowest ribs, allowing the torso to be moved about by these circles. And we'll come to neutral as we're ready and refresh our length. And we're going to have a circle for the shoulders. So they'll lift and move forward and down. And we want to keep, especially the forearm, the wrist, the hands, want them to stay released, want their weight resting on the knees. And we'll switch direction back and forth. And then our last time, and take a moment to once again rest the arms down, lengthen up through the core, line up the ears with the shoulders, feel that energy down in the belly. And let's switch our legs at this point. So just lift the knees up and release the hands and take that front leg out. Then the back leg, we'll just gently bounce the knees, maybe a few circles, some movement in the ankles. And then when we're ready, we'll switch the legs. So we'll begin with the weight of the hands on the knees, finding our length. And do line up the ears with the shoulders. And then the entire torso. Let's circle it above the hips. Feeling our weight shift, sit bone to sit bone. And we keep a bit of energy in the core. So we're kind of controlling that weight shift using deep belly muscles, using both directions. And then see if you can slowly shift this motion deep in the belly and have those muscles in the hips turning. They're drawing the circle, the upper body moving less, simply being moved about. So back and forth, and then we're going to slow down to still, allowing ourselves to find center, to come tall. Release the weight through the arms onto the palms. And then another circle at the diaphragm. And see if we can kind of keep a bit of height and find the circling in that mid-back, low rib zone. That's right where our diaphragm is. It's going to work down into the hips. It's going to work up the back. Let's see if we can keep relaxed in the arms. And we're just exploring this motion. And then we're going to come still as we make these circles smaller. We'll come neutral. We'll find our length again. And then simply release the belly. And on the inhale, breathe down into the belly, filling it like a balloon. On the exhale, make it a little longer, drawing the belly in. A couple more breaths, really letting go of the belly, filling it with the in-breath. And now let's create a circle with the shoulders. It's moving smoothly, leaving weight on the palms, exploring both directions. And then coming neutral, just relaxing the arms down, reaching up along the spine. And then let's release the arms. We'll take the fingertips out to the side. We're going to lift up our knees. We'll take the legs out long, take them apart. So now connect to the palms, the hands, lean forward a little bit. Just gently bounce the legs. And then we'll lift the knees again. Let's start by pointing the toes and then smoothly creating some circles from the ankles, pivoting on the heels. And then energize the belly. We'll do these circles gently, but we'll get the belly energized. We'll see if we can move the weight on the front of the sit bones and then come up on fingertips. And then the hands are just helping us with a little bit of balance, a little bit of stability. But all the strength now to hold the torso is in the core body. Okay, and when we're ready, we'll just pause. We'll press the legs wide. So one hand, just slide it back just behind the hip. Bring the other arm up. And when you exhale, reach down a leg, touch anywhere that's comfortable. And we're just melting forward. We'll get a breath or two here. We really want to feel where our torso is in relationship to the center line of this leg. We want to see if we can keep our weight on the inside of the center line down the leg. And our breathing in will bring us tall. So we'll take that arm up and then back down behind. we'll find equal weight. We'll find our position in our core. So we can create a little tuck at the tailbone. Use an inhale to bring up the opposite arm. And exhale to reach out to the other leg, melting forward, keeping the weight of the torso on the inside of the center line down the leg. And then when we're ready with an inhale, let's reach that arm into the air. And then once we're tall, we'll take the fingertips out away from the hips, out in line with the hips. Energize in the hips. If you can put the ears in line with the shoulders. Okay, we're going to cross the legs again. So sweep one leg in and sweep the other leg across and in. Find a comfortable place. And then we'll keep the fingertips out to the sides. So sitting here, create a small tuck at the tailbone, length up the back body. Now put one palm down on the ground. As that palm flatten, inhale up the other arm. And then with the exhale, lean toward that flat palm. Keep the weight equal in the sit bones. And we'll move with our breath. Inhaling up, landing the palm, bringing up the other arm. Exhaling to the other side. Staying equal on the sit bones. So let's do our last set. And whenever we finish, just pausing for a moment, we'll rest the arms down into the fingertips, releasing the shoulders. And we're going to lift our spine up, get that feeling of lifting up between the shoulders. And then sink into the hips with a little tuck at the tailbone, that energy in the belly. And with the breathing in, float the arms in the air, turn towards either knee, land the hands, and with the exhale, melt down toward the knee. And in breath will float us up. And out breath takes us to the other leg. So using the core body and seeing if we can keep both sit bones sinking. Weight will shift, but we can do some work in the hips, in the core. So we'll do one more set here. And being tall whenever we're done. And resting the arms down into the fingertips, reaching up through the center and aligning. We want a tiny tuck at our tailbone, feeling of the heart above the hips and the ears lined up with the shoulders. And then just relax the belly. Let the inhale fill it like a balloon. And whenever we're breathing out, the belly moving in, lifting up. Okay, we're going to switch legs again. So lifting up the knees, energize the ankles, slide the legs out. We can lean on our hands a little bit so we get a little more freedom of movement into the hips. We'll bounce the knees. When we're ready, we'll bring the knees up. We'll get some circles at the ankles. And then we're going to cross the legs again. Okay, so let's begin with the fingers out to the side, aligned through the core. And then place one palm flat in the in-breath, bringing up the other arm. So we can keep equal weight in the sit bones. And let's do our last set. As we're done, just taking a moment to be tall. And here, once again, release the belly on the inhale and really allow the diaphragm to lower down. And then breathing on the out breath, the belly moving in, the diaphragm will naturally move up. And when we take an inhale, floating the arms off the mat, turning to either knee. On the exhale, landing the hands, melting down. And we'll do our last set. And whenever we're ready, just landing the fingers. And again, giving ourselves 1 or 2 breaths. So we really do work with the diaphragm by, on the in-breath, releasing the belly, expanding the belly, using the belly as part of the exhalation. And then let's extend the legs. Give them a little shake. And we're going to switch the legs again. So changing sides. Okay, so find the sit bones. Find the ears lined up with the shoulders and the length through the core. And then when we breathe in, we'll float the arms in the air. We'll bring them out from the shoulders. We'll have the fingertips pointed to the ceiling, spreading the fingers. Push the shoulders forward, rotate the arms, pressing out. And then lift up tall, not leaning forward, not leaning back. And then gently turn so the arms are on either side of either knee. And then the outer arm, rotate, bring the elbow back, push the straight arm a little further forward. And then revolving to the other side. And adjusting, always adjusting so we're not in discomfort. And as we rotate, as we find each side, explore balancing on the sit bones. So our last set. And then when we're done our last side, just returning to neutral for a moment and pressing out, spreading the fingers. Try to point the fingertips down at the mat. So we really work through the backs of the palms, through the forearms. And then when it's an in-breath, come up tall. And when it's an out-breath, release the arms, land the fingers, sliding forward, melting. When you've gone as far as you can go, drop the shoulders, melt the arms. When you need to inhale, drag the hands in, coming vertical, bring the palms together up the center line. Landing the hands, sliding forward. And our last time. So Make the last time when you're stretched out a little longer. Let the shoulders release. And then the in-breath. Let's draw ourselves up. And then we'll go right into stretching out the legs. So we can lean back a little bit, let the legs rise, extend, take them up a little bit, just explore, just having some movement. And then we'll switch sides. And we'll place the fingertips off to the sides, in line with the hips, the ears with the shoulders, a little tuck at our tailbone. And then with the in-breath, just sweep the arms out in front, straight out from the shoulders. We'll start again, fingertips up, push with the palms, rotate the arms. So we want a feeling of the shoulders moving forward without that being uncomfortable, right? So if we need to open the arms, we find that place, still vertical, and then turning we're toward that knee, and then the outer arm rotates, the elbow moves back, the straight arm moves forward, equal weight on the sit bones, and then easing to the other side as we rotate, as we land at a side, working with the sit bones. Okay, so last side, and then to center. And then from here, just bring the palms together. Bring the palms in front. And the in-breath will take the arms up. Again, only as far as is good for right now. And the exhale lands the fingertips, hands slide forward. We melt over. Get your fullest slide forward, and then take a moment where you just let go with the shoulders. And then when you're ready, inhaling back up. Now, when we slide forward, let's stay, and we'll have a couple of breaths here. Letting go with the shoulders, allowing ourselves to hang forward, and just exploring into the hip muscles. And then the in-breath to come back up. And as soon as we're ready, we'll stretch out the legs. They'll get a little bit of a shake. And then we're going to bring the legs parallel. We'll slide the hands under the thighs. And we'll gently add weight on the forearms. So once we've released the shoulders, the arms, we'll tuck in the belly so we can relax our own low back. And then right here, try pointing with the toes and gently switching to press out at the heels. Softly. And then we'll just release the ankles. So relaxing the legs. Now let's turn the palms upward facing and use the hands to hold the legs. And so the arms are still wrapped around the thighs. And being careful with the low back, just draw a little closer to the thighs. We're using the arms now. We've relaxed the legs. And see if you can allow the head to hang a bit closer and ease the belly into the hips. Breathe down softly into the belly. And just adjusting for ourselves, we may need to release the arms again if the low back is not comfortable. Really being sensitive to the sensations we have in the lower back. And then relax the arms again. Relax the legs and just pause here for a moment. Everything's released. So perhaps it's just that weight of the legs holding the forearms in place. And we're having a moment just hanging over without any effort. Okay, so now let's energize the legs, lift the knees, we'll slide the arms out, and then let's transition from a seated position to lying on the back. So initially, just the arms away from the sides in a comfortable place, letting the shoulders relax, weight of the arms on the ground. We want to position the feet where we're able to use the legs to help adjust the hips and the sacrum. And we want to find for ourselves a place where we feel comfortably balanced on the sacrum. And then letting go in the shoulder blades and adjusting the neck. If we can have a feeling inside that the neck feels long and relaxed, and then let an in-breath move down into the belly. And just that breathing in and moving the belly is also going to move the sacrum. And when we come to breathing out and the belly sinks into the hips, we can create a little bit of tuck at our tailbone. So allowing our belly breathing to create a gentle rocking on the sacrum. And then let's do a little more work with the actual hips so that we get a clear rocking motion through the sacrum, through the hips with our breathing. And as we explore that, we can feel the spine up into the really the mid back, up around the shoulder blades. We're having the whole spine move. And we can create this motion from different parts of the spine. And right now, we want to see if we can create the motion out of the sacrum, out of the belly, out of the hips. As the diaphragm descends on the in-breath, as the belly expands, the diaphragm's going to lift up the spine. And allow this motion to extend all the way up into the neck and the throat. See if you can get a gentle, natural movement in the head, in the skull. And then when you get an exhale, when you're ready, just release again. And we won't make any real effort and just adjust along the back. Now we're going to repeat, but we'll make it a little bigger for ourselves. So we're going to be lifting the knees. We're going to use the hands behind the head. So slipping the fingers behind the head, resting the head on the palms, allowing the arms to open wide, the elbows to sink toward the mat, and then a little bit of tuck at the tailbone. And we'll bring the feet closer to the hips, the legs closer to each other. And when you breathe in, let's start with the diaphragm lifting. Looking with the eyes for the chest. And when you breathe out, bring the knees up and in, and then lift the upper back. Arms support the weight of the head, but not pulling on the neck. Elbows and knees gently reach toward each other. For an inhale, feet land, heads down, diaphragm lifts. Looking for the ribs on the exhale, floating up. So when we exhale, when knees and elbows come toward each other, as the core body make the exertion, have the thighs work, the upper back work, and just support the head with the hands. Don't pull on the head. Want to allow for a big in-breath, a deep out-breath. If you like, let the feet float up on that out-breath. Let's do our last cycle. Whenever the head lands, just slide the hands out, lengthen the neck, release the arms, and allow the back to rest here for a moment. Okay, we're going to lift the hips. So again, positioning the feet closer into the hips and the arms alongside the body. Just tucking the shoulder blades in towards center, lengthening the neck, tucking the tailbone, pressing with the arms and shoulders, and have the hips float up as we inhale. And let's hold for a breath. Use the thighs, use the glutes, use the shoulders, keep the neck comfortable. And when you're ready with an exhale, put the hips down, draw the knees in toward the shoulders, slide the hands down between the legs. See if you can get hold of the big toes with two fingers, and then float the feet toward the ceiling. And then just find a comfortable relationship between what the legs are doing, what the arms are doing. So we can explore having the legs wide, or they can be close. Just seeing where it works for our balance right now. If you explore legs wide, it's a little easier to find the sacrum. So that's worth at least looking at. If you bring the legs close, consider initially bending the knees. And then again, we can find the sacrum, and staying in touch with the sacrum, explore gently lengthening the legs. So whichever position we have, let's let go of the feet, slide the hands to the knees, bend the knees. Pause here for a moment, and then we're going to return the feet to the mat, the arms alongside the body. We'll bring the shoulder blades in, we'll tuck the tailbone, press on the feet, and the in-breath floats the legs up. Use the glutes, the thighs. And as we breathe out, again, lowering the hips, hold the knees, bring them in toward the shoulders, find the sacrum, slide the hands down between the legs, hold somewhere. And then keeping the sacrum comfortable, allow the legs to lengthen, close or wide, as we find it right now. And just try the other version. If they're wide, try close or vice versa. And then bringing the legs close, soften the knees, and we'll lift the hips. So let's take our hands down to our hips. And then as you're ready with an exhale, boost up. We don't have to get the hips very high. We want to find a place where the hands on the glutes support the weight so we can tuck the shoulders in a little bit, shoulder blades towards each other, and just position ourselves comfortably. Give ourselves the time to find a comfortable version for right now that has the throat soft. We don't have weight on vertebra, so we do want to connect to the backs of the shoulders. And if we don't want to be very high here, we can, with the hands, bring the shoulders lower and just see if there's a place there that's more comfortable. So letting go of ideas of what it should be, exploring where it's comfortable for us today. Okay, and let's work our way back down. Use the hands. Once we have the hips in contact with the mat, bend the knees, move the knees towards the shoulders, use the hands. And then bring the knees about hips width apart, lengthen the hands out all the way. So the arms are long, and then soften the grip, let the feet touch down, and then take the legs out straight, all the way down. And we'll bring the arms right alongside the body. We're going to tuck the palms just under the glutes, tops of the thighs, bring the shoulder blades close, energize down the legs. So push out with the heels, press out with the ball of the foot, tuck the tailbone. So when you're inhaling, let the feeling of the ribs expanding with our in-breath. On the out-breath, if it's comfortable, lift the head, lift the upper back, look toward the feet, press on the forearms, lift the chest, look down all the way at the feet. And then when you're ready, melt all the way back down and rest the head. Really put the head on the ground here. Refresh the shoulder blades, the shoulders. Want to press with the forearms, not the elbows. It's a subtle difference, but it's important. Get the tailbone tucked. Push into the heels, the soles of the feet. Get the in-breath, and on the out-breath, lift up. So the hips slide forward. When the spine's up, push on the forearms. Look up at the ceiling if it's okay for the neck. If the neck isn't comfortable, don't do that. Drop the head back, look to the wall behind you. And then with the inhale, lift the head, look at the feet. And with the exhale, release down the back. Put the weight of the head back on the mat here. And we're going to try this again. So always knowing when we've reached today's limit and not feeling it has to have a certain extension. When you're ready, you've energized the legs, really find the shoulder blades in, the tailbone tucked. Coming up as we exhale, chin tucks as we lift the spine, press on the forearms, lift the heart when you're inhaling, looking back if that's okay. And as far as you would go is to place the top of the head back on the mat and then really engage the thighs and glutes if you've done that. Lift the heart. Okay, let's use an in-breath to lift the head, look at the feet, and release down. Once you're down, separate the feet and rest the arms. And if you're comfortable going into Shavasana just by adjusting the body, if there's a sense in the body that another position, another version makes sense, then we give ourselves that pose. If we're comfortable, we're allowing the head, the back body, the arms, the hips, the legs to release. And then follow the breath, entering the nose, roof of the mouth and throat, belly rising with the in-breath and moving down. Out-breath sinks in the belly. See if you can create a gentle sound in the throat with the exhale, internally, inaudible, just a tiny constriction. And now let's move again through our fingers and our toes, moving the ankles, the wrists, and then reaching out with the arms, stretching down the legs so we can lengthen along the back side of the body. And we get an exhale, we'll bring the knees in, holding on and rocking gently. And then we'll take ourselves onto either side, coming up. Namaste.